Monday Night Football in Week 6, we get the Bears and the Commanders in DC. Welcome back to the BetCanada channel. Katie Caldwell and Jeff Lloyd here with you today. Jeff, the Bears are getting healthier. They're coming off their bye. What are you expecting to see in this matchup?
Well, the first thing I think of when I think of this game is we did this game 1 year ago, and the Chicago Bears thought they had this game won. And that was kind of the moment, and that was the day where all of a sudden, basically, Jaden Daniels went from, "Wow, this guy's got a lot of promise," to, "Oh my god, Jaden Daniels is a problem, and he's a problem now." And so, for the Bears, and obviously, different coach, of course, and that game means nothing to him. But there are certainly players who are going to suit up for the Chicago Bears Sunday against the Commanders, and they are going to remember that.
Mm-hmm.
However, this is a Commanders team, with Jaden Daniels back, and you're certainly a team that offensively got a lot of their identity back with Jaden Daniels. But you're the Bears, this is one, and you're in a really difficult spot because the Chicago Bears could have a really good year and still finish fourth in the NFC North.
Yeah.
And a year where they think they made strides, they improved, Caleb Williams improved, the head coach and the quarterback clicked, and it didn't seem to make much a difference within the NFC North. This is all probably something that's, I don't think is going to happen. It's probably going to happen. But also, if you're Caleb Williams, I was the number one pick last year. Jaden Daniels was not. And there's definitely, some of that there where, you wanna be the talked about guy. And,
Mm-hmm.
you've got now your new, head coach who's certainly got, the whiz kid offensive mind and is willing to do anything, even if it seems the largest off of the cuff play call or formation or motion, these guys will go ahead and run it. So, for Chicago, this is a huge one. It really
Yeah.
is, and, you get on prime time. There's a chance for your product to be displayed. Washington is certainly worthy of this spot. I think a lot of people question whether or not Chicago is worthy of a Monday night game at this
Yeah.
point. But, you're going to go in there and you're going to try to give Washington every single thing you got. Plus, you got the benefit of, of course, having 2 weeks to prepare for this game.
Yeah, and for those that don't remember what happened, this is the first meeting since the Hail Mary in October of last year. So how much motivation does that bring to the Bears? Because this is also pretty personal for Ben Johnson because he lost to the Commanders in the playoffs. So on paper, I think this is Commanders all the way, but man, there's got to be a little extra juice there in terms of like revenge game.
There's no doubt. I mean, and Washington, of course, certainly everybody thought Johnson, everybody knew what was basically going to go on with Johnson. I think the thing that everybody was surprised is that Chicago didn't have to wait till mid-February
Yeah.
to essentially get their hands on him. It was like, "Well, he's available now?" Wow. Well, all right. We didn't even line up questions yet. We didn't even work out, when we wanted to interview him and what restaurant we were gonna book, any of that stuff. Because, obviously Washington went in and, basically stunned the world that Saturday night and just basically went into Detroit and basically took the city over for a night. So there's no question. I mean, Johnson obviously has moved on to greener grass and certainly larger paychecks. But there's certainly that part of it. And the part of it is, all right, Dan Campbell, you got me. All right. But now the thing is, we're going to come battle again. But the thing is I'm coming with my mind, I'm coming with my playbook, but it's an entire new cast of characters.
Yeah.
So it certainly can be different that way. It would be a huge, huge thing for, Chicago to go get this one.
Mhm.
And, I think for Johnson, this would also be the, okay, I think we're getting exactly where we want to be, and obviously, all of that rests on the play of Caleb Williams. And
Yeah.
I think Caleb Williams has played probably a little bit better this year than people, want to mention. I think he's kind
Mhm.
of comfortable within this system. I think he's being very, very smart and diligent about not turning it over. He didn't turn it over a lot as a rookie, but I think he's really well coached in the just how detrimental turnovers are and just how bad, and just how thin the margin of error is and turning the ball over with the way these offenses in the NFL right now is just, basically instant, points. And,
Mhm.
you just can't do that in today's NFL. So it's certainly, it was a good matchup last year, but I think this year, it certainly has the potential to be an even better matchup, where both
Mm.
guys now are just more set, more comfortable. Caleb Williams is actually playing for a coaching staff he knows he's going to play for a little while now. There's,
Yeah.
continuity for the Bears right now. Both these guys, quarterback-wise, gotta be coming into this game, confidence level just absolute sky high.
Yeah, no kidding. If the Bears do pull off the win or keep it close? Is it just because it's a big Caleb Williams game? Like him and Rome Odunze is such a fun combination. You're right though. I think a lot of people aren't talking about Caleb Williams enough as much as I would like this season.
Yeah, well, I mean, look, people are still, basically stuck on last season. Still, people are still stuck with Caleb
Mhm.
Williams, on their, draft process narratives that were written about him then. And some people just questioning his commitment to the game for his love for the game.
Mhm.
And that certainly has not been anybody related to the Chicago Bears who has spoken about anything in that in any way whatsoever. I think it was just tough last year. He got drafted to a team where everybody kind of knew the coaching staff was going to get shown the door unless he played out of his mind, which isn't fair to Caleb Williams in any way whatsoever. Now
Right.
you get your head coach, and obviously you have a really good idea. Caleb Williams sat there for both games against the Lions last year and watched that offense and certainly said, "Well, wow, that's fun. Well, that's pretty fun too." And now all of a
Yeah.
sudden, well, yeah, I'm in on the fun. And I think for them, like you look at Roma Dunzier, and he doesn't, not necessarily the route runner maybe that Amon St. Brown is, maybe not the overall vertical threat that Jamison Williams is, but like you see him and what we know of Detroit over the years and what we know that Johnson likes, you can see why the Adonzier thing really works because he's
Yeah.
got good size, he's a good route runner, the speed is above average. And the thing I like about Roma Dunzier is Roma Dunzier takes a hit and he holds on to the ball,
Yep.
which gets a little lost in the modern NFL. But they are really, have that kind of cooking right now. And
Mhm.
Williams and Dunzier looks like it'd be a really, really solid relationship. And obviously the two of them, same draft class. So they're on the same plan, same clock with everything. Those two guys really, have it's worked well. And you figure it's just only going to get better as, time goes on, more reps go on.
Quick pause. If you haven't subscribed to the BetCanada YouTube channel, you can do so below. It's free and it helps support our channel so we can keep bringing you NFL and NHL content. Now, back to the show. When I look at the big vulnerabilities for the Bears in this one, their run defense really stands out to me. They have this league's second worst run defense. Are we going to see a big Bill game here?
Bill is a pain. Bill is a little bit of a
Yeah.
because I think the thing with Bill is it doesn't take a lot because I think last week it was over like it was like 111 yards, whatever, 2 touchdowns. But it was only like 14 carries. So when you
Wow.
can get that kind of production out of your running back, and it's not that, we don't have to commit 20 plus touches. So you know
Mhm.
what? That's 3 more times I get to throw the ball, or that's 2 more gadget plays I get to work in because I have a running back running for, 5.5 yards a clip, which certainly puts you in such favorable situations as 2nd and 4, 2nd and 3, where
Yeah.
you have the totality of your playbook. I can throw it here, I can run it, I can do whatever I want. And then, of course, you still have Jaden Daniels. And maybe the leg isn't 100% yet, but I think most people would give their leg for 85% of Jaden Daniels' leg in a heartbeat. And then for Washington, there is the question, that we'll find out as the week goes on if Terry McLaurin can make his way back,
Mhm.
which, after Washington wins last week, getting, Daniels back, you still got McLaren, who right now I still believe is their most important offensive weapon, finding and working his way back into the fold. It's a potential here, certainly for a really good game, which should be fun Monday night.
I have the Commanders winning this one, but I think it could be closer than people anticipate. Do you have the Commanders too?
I think sensibly and just, I think you would be looking to shock the world if you were going to
Mhm.
take the Chicago Bears in this one. But I got to be honest. I mean, now that they're 2-2 and knowing Johnson has had 2 weeks, and I guarantee you
Yeah.
that playoff game last year, Detroit Lions and certainly Washington is something that Ben Johnson certainly went through.
Oh,
And there
yeah.
was, "All right, what did we miss? What did we miss?
What
And
did
you know
we
what?
learn?
What were they ahead of me on? Oh, you were ahead
Mhm.
of me on that? Okay, so now you're gonna follow the slant in? Well, guess what? There's gonna be somebody running a wheel route. You're gonna jump the slant. I'm gonna go wheel route behind you." Because Johnson is just that guy who is always he's the kind of guy that, goes to the ice cream place and it's not just one topping to, there's never enough excessiveness for
I
Johnson.
love
It's just the way
it.
and he
Yeah.
lives it, and he absolute because there were so many times over the years with Detroit where we all just kinda looked around and said, "Well, that was certainly a little bit different." And I think he thrives on that, and he loves kinda going rogue every now and then. But the other thing is, your players love it just as much as your head coach does, and it keeps
Yeah.
everybody dialed in. When something's called or shown on a whiteboard and players have not really seen it or have only scarcely seen it, it just amps up everybody to want it to execute.